Why won't my avoidant partner fight for our love? Have you ever felt abandoned and heartbroken by a partner who seemed to care but just would not fight for your love? Maybe you've experienced your partner withdrawing when things got serious, repeated disappointment when trying to address relationship issues, feeling unloved and questioning if they really truly cared. If you can relate to this video is for you. In it, I explain the key reasons why avoidant partners struggle with commitment and how their fears often outweigh their feelings, because it will really help you discern whether your partner's avoidant tendencies are something that you can work with or if it's time to let it go and focus on your own healing. So grab a pencil and paper because you do not want to miss this. So let's begin our discussion with a description for avoidant attachment style. Now, you might have noticed that your avoidant partner seems emotionally unavailable or distant at times. I would have you imagine that avoidant individuals operate based on a very delicate balance between their feelings and their fears. So when their feelings for you are very intense, they might feel a strong desire to connect. But if their fears, such as the fear of intimacy or rejection or failure, are also high, then that lowers their emotional availability. Even if they deeply care about you, their fears can often outweigh their feelings, causing them to pull away. And well, why does that happen? Well, a lot of people with avoidant attachment experienced emotional neglect in their childhood. And that means that their parents or caregivers were either absent or unresponsive to their emotional needs. And this can happen through both enmeshed or dismissive family dynamics. And as a result, they learn to fend for themselves emotionally while building a protective wall around their hearts. And so this protective stance often makes them hesitant to invest too deeply in relationships, even when they genuinely care about their partners. And so their defense mechanisms, which once helped them survive, now act as barriers to really giving and receiving the love that they want. Now, if you'd like to learn more about enmeshed versus dismissive family dynamics and their effect on attachment styles, check out my video, Childhood Trauma in a Normal Upbringing: Unraveling Attachment Styles in Adulthood. Now let's dive into 4 painful reasons avoidant partners won't fight for love. So number 1, they tend to have unrealistic romantic expectations. Now, this is a myth that avoidant partners are unromantic and aloof. They don't get swept up in relationships like anxious folks, for example. But the truth is, avoidant partners can be very romantic. They have spent a lot of time in their heads entertaining fantasies of the perfect partner and ideal relationship, while avoiding most romantic commitments that would ruin the fantasy. And so many avoidant partners have unrealistic expectations that relationships should just be easy breezy, smooth sailing, and free from conflict or discomfort. This stems from a lack of modeling on how to navigate relationship challenges. Maybe their parents or caregivers didn't show them how to handle disagreements in a healthy way. So they grew up thinking that love should just work out without any problems at all. And so when conflict arises, it might feel like a red flag to them, even though conflicts are a normal part of any relationship, and working through them actually deepens the intimacy and connection. Now, the second thing is finding flaws. So once avoidant partners form an attachment, they might start to focus on their partner's flaws as a defense against vulnerability. And this is their way of maintaining some emotional distance the closer that you become. So for example, if their partner starts to get too close or asks for more commitment, maybe they suddenly become hyper aware of every little thing that their partner does wrong. It's a way to remain convinced that staying detached is really the best option. And the goal is to protect themselves and to reassure themselves that they don't need anyone. And if the relationship were to fail, well, it was flawed anyway. That way, they don't have to experience any potential feelings of failure, grief, or loss. And that leads us to the next one, which is the habit of emotional suppression. So emotional suppression is one of the primary avoidant deactivating strategies, and it shields them against perceived threats of intimacy or having to experience negative feelings as a result of a conflict or perhaps a breakup. And so over time, this results in a backlog of unprocessed emotions, complicating the ability to repair or fight for a relationship. And so when avoidant partners are caught in a cycle of emotional suppression, on the surface, it might look like they don't care about you or the relationship. But upon closer inspection, you might find that they do exhibit signs of having strong feelings that have just gone unaddressed. Like perhaps they experience increased and inexplicable anxiety, psychosomatic symptoms, obsessive compulsive tendencies, or displaced anger and tension onto other people or unrelated situations. Number 4, difficulty regulating the nervous system. Now, for this segment, I'm going to slow down a little bit and explain about auto-regulation and co-regulation and why that is so important. So let's talk about auto-regulation first. Auto-regulation, also known as self-regulation, is the ability to manage and balance our own emotions and our nervous system responses without external help. Now, this might involve calming ourselves down after a stressful day, or using techniques like deep breathing and mindfulness to restore a sense of emotional equilibrium. And developing strong auto-regulation skills is important because it enables us to handle life's challenges independently and enhances our resilience. It also contributes to our capacity for what is called co-regulation. So co-regulation is really a process where two individuals interact in a way that helps both regulate their emotions and nervous system responses. It's a really crucial part of secure and healthy relationships because it allows each partner to soothe and support one another during times of stress or emotional upheaval. And so in this process, one partner's calming presence can help the other one manage their emotions and vice versa. So in a secure relationship, partners take turns sharing emotional burdens and accessing the resource of the relationship and each other's nervous systems for support. Because when two people can co-regulate, their nervous systems essentially kind of sync up. Now, in a stressful situation, one partner's sympathetic nervous system, their fight or flight system, might be activated. And that leads to things like increased heart rate, shallow breathing, heightened emotional responses, and anxiety. Now, the other partner, through a process of co-regulation, helps that partner soothe by engaging in their peaceful parasympathetic nervous system. So maybe this looks like offering comforting words, physical touch, or just being present and calm and validating without overreacting to their partner's anxious energy. And so this creates a soothing effect, and it helps lower the stress levels and fosters a sense of safety. Now, there is a common misconception that avoidant partners are good at auto-regulation or self-regulation, and they're not so good at co-regulation. But I believe that the truth is more nuanced than that. The avoidant tendency to withdraw and to set rigid boundaries against conflict actually indicates a hypersensitivity to emotional stimuli. So avoidants withdraw because they struggle with both auto-regulation and co-regulation in distressing situations. Their withdrawal is a coping mechanism for their difficulty in managing distress, rather than an effective form of self-regulation. So if you want to learn more about conceptualizing attachment styles as nervous system responses, please check out my YouTube video, Attachment Styles as Nervous System Responses. Now, what is the solution here? Is there a way to heal avoidant attachment? Well, before I answer that question, I invite you to drop a comment and let me know if any of this is landing with you. If you are avoidant, do you recognize yourself in any of these descriptions? If you have an avoidant partner, what has been your experience on the other side of that? I would love to know. Our last segment, let's talk about, is there a way to heal avoidant attachment? And then we'll take a look at when to know that it's time to let it go. Now, in short, yes, avoidant partners can learn to adopt a more realistic expectation for loving relationships, show up for their partners with a more generous, forgiving, and accepting heart, learn to express their feelings openly, and acquire the tools to develop self-trust and auto-regulation so that they may better co-regulate and support their partners in ways that lead to conflict resolution and repair while deepening the intimacy. Now, healing from avoidant attachment is a journey. It's a journey of rediscovering the spontaneity, curiosity, and the joy that comes with emotional openness and reciprocation. It involves stepping back into a vulnerable place of engagement without the fear of losing oneself. Now, in my work, this journey includes 4 important steps, and that is embracing playfulness and creativity, developing trust in the authentic self, cultivating flexible and healthy boundaries, and learning healthy communication skills. Now, if you'd like to learn more about these 4 steps, just hit the subscribe button and follow for the notification when we release a new video on this topic next week, that is going to dive into how to heal avoidant attachment using these 4 steps. Alternatively, you can also just jump ahead and take the attachment styles quiz that is attached to this video and learn more about my Attachment 101 courses. With my Attachment 101 courses, the journey is really structured around 4 phases, including 7 key steps. And each one is crafted to address specific concerns of the 4 attachment styles, including avoidant attachment. And so what really sets my courses apart is the integration of my trademarked approach. It's not just about gaining intellectual insight into attachment theory. It's about learning embodied practices that address the energetic, physical, and spiritual constrictions that are caused by attachment wounds. And we do this on the level of the body and the nervous system, the mind and spirit. Now, if you'd like to experience results like these, take the attachment styles quiz attached to this video. After you submit your information, you will receive access to a detailed explanation and a limited time offer to purchase the course that's the best fit for you at a generously discounted price. Okay, let's move on to our last segment, how to know when to let go and walk away. Now, let's say you followed all the good advice on how to communicate better, be more emotionally honest, and establish clear boundaries and healthy expectations for a relationship. You have tried therapy and counseling and all the recommendations for showing up in a more secure way to a relationship. But unfortunately, your partner still responds by overreacting and accusing you of trying to make everything about you, feeling criticized and claiming that you're trying to be emotionally manipulative and controlling simply by expressing how you feel, or passive-aggressively going along with your ideas, whatever, just tell me what you want and I'll do it, and then intentionally sabotaging your success. Or perhaps they walk out, give you the silent treatment, or otherwise behave in a petulant manner. Fine, I guess I'll go find comfort with somebody else. Now, this means that your partner has likely experienced a severe degree of trauma, developmental or otherwise, that has led to the formation of a rigid but fragile ego. Individuals that struggle with this may adopt intentionally cruel, vindictive, or manipulative attitudes and behaviors because they are emotionally immature, but they can still be pretty emotionally perceptive. And perhaps they have not developed a healthy sense of self. And in this case, everything in their life experience is filtered through a psychic lens that perpetuates unhealthy adrenaline highs through trauma reenactments and endless attachment proximity negotiations, primarily involving strategies that usually position for power and control, passive-aggressively, aggressively, overtly, or covertly. Everything becomes kind of a power dynamic or a game. Now, for these folks, emotional honesty and being specific about your needs is threatening and it's exposing, and it often stimulates a highly defended and even offended response. Now, if this is your situation, you must realize that your partner has to be doing the work on themselves if they are ever going to meet you in an emotionally healthy and honest place. Now, you can show up with 100% of your good intentions, and I'm sorry to say that is still only 50% of what is needed to make the relationship work. The other 50% has to come from them. Love can show up at their door, but they have to be willing to let it in. So how do you know for sure if this is your situation? Well, I want to offer you 10 yes or no questions to help you decode that today. So number 1, do you feel unsupported and afraid to ask your partner for help? Number 2, are your conversations filled with sarcasm, criticism, judgment, hostility, passive aggression, or apathy? Number 3, does your partner exhibit frequent jealousy or acting out behaviors that make you feel cornered or wrongly accused? Number 4, does your partner engage in obsessive or controlling behaviors like social media stalking or invasions of privacy? Number 5, does your partner hold grudges and turn kind gestures into tit-for-tat situations where no good deed goes unpunished? Number 6, is there dishonesty in the relationship, either with your partner lying to you, you lying to yourself, or all of the above? Do you feel like there's a lot of spite and resentment leading to constant power plays in the relationship? Number 8, does your partner display persistent disrespect for your time, energy, efforts, or resources, such as showing up late, canceling plans, or behaving inappropriately at important events? Number 9, do you find that your partner ignores your needs and you end up waiting for their permission to have them? Number 10, have you slowly stopped spending time with friends or family because your partner feels threatened by them or because you're ashamed of your partner's behavior? If you have answered yes to most of these questions, the dynamic has become toxic and it is time to leave. To learn more about toxic relationships and when to leave, check out my video, How to Cut Cords and Find Happy Relationships. Now, just remember, All you can do is create the possibility for change. You cannot force a partner to join you there. If they choose not to, that is really good information for you. And it means that you are now free to make the decision to make yourself available for someone who will. I hope that you have enjoyed today's segment. Before you go, please leave your questions and feedback in the comments. I love to hear how this material is landing with you, and I take all comments into consideration when creating new content like this. Thank you and have a great week. Also, remember to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. I put out videos once a week and I wouldn't want you to miss out.